Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Arundhati Ramanan and here are the headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. The AI sell-off continues to drag global markets. Stocks decline across Europe and US for the fourth straight day. Bitcoin and gold prices also see a sharp decline. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal says there is no hiatus in the relationship between India and the US as trade talks continue. His statement comes a day after Trump's advisor Kevin Hassett said a trade deal with India is closed.
2, 1.
Strong debut for edtech company PhysicsWallah. The stock lists at a 36% premium. Market capitalization crosses 44,000 crore rupees on day one. Grow's purple patch remains intact. Stock rallies 88% in 5 days after listing, captures a market cap of 1.2 lakh crore rupees, exceeds BSE's valuation. But will the rally continue? CNBC TV 18 analyzes the key metrics. The end of earnings season sparks a block deal rush. Promoters and strategic investors spare stake worth 8,800 crore rupees in Mphasis, Paytm, ITC, Emcure Pharma and Zinca Logistics. The ball gets rolling on PSU Bank consolidation. Finance Minister tells CNBC TV 18 that work on creating big, world-class banks has begun. Veterans warn that any consolidation plan must focus on synergy, not just size. Also caution against creating banks that are too big to fail. Relief for builders, miners, steel industry. Supreme Court oversees its own judgment that projects violating requirement of prior environmental clearance could not be approved retrospectively. Observes that the previous judgment would lead to demolition of public projects worth 20,000 crore rupees. Police deployed at fuel stations across Mumbai as CNG remains in short supply. Thousands of taxis and auto rickshaws stay off roads, crippling the transport system across the city for the third day. Mahanagar Gas resumed supply to some fuel stations. United Nations Security Council endorses US President Trump's plan for Gaza, which includes deploying an international force and a roadmap for a sovereign Palestinian state. But Hamas rejects the resolution, claiming it does not meet Palestinian demands. An outage at online infra provider Cloudflare disrupts parts of the internet. Multiple online services, including ChatGPT and other AI chatbots, along with social media platforms like X, go offline for several users. Those were the headlines that we're tracking for you this evening, but let's start with a snapshot of the global markets. The AI sell-off continues on Wall Street. Stocks are down across the US and Europe for the fourth straight day, largely due to tech stocks. Concerns over valuation of companies that specialize in artificial intelligence continues to linger among investors, and there is no place to hide. Bitcoin prices briefly dropped below $90,000. Gold prices are also down over 1%. Moving on to Dalal Street, Sensex and Nifty snapped a 6-day winning streak. Sensex lost nearly 300 points and the Nifty lost over 100 points to drop below the 26,000 mark. All sectoral indices ended in the red, with Nifty Bank Index faring slightly better than the benchmarks, but mid-caps underperformed the blue chips. Morgan Stanley expects Indian markets to regain momentum in 2026 with a bull case target of 107,000 for the Sensex by December 2026. In its latest outlook, the brokerage says the index could surge nearly 27% from current levels if macro and policy tailwinds hold. Even in its base case, assigned a 50% probability, the Sensex is seen at 95,000 by end of 2026, implying a 13% upside. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal has said that there's no hiatus in India's relationship with the United States. Speaking at the 22nd Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, Goyal said that a comprehensive partnership has many elements, all of which may not run at the same speed. This comes a day after White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett said that the U.S. is very close to reaching a deal with India.
We're still quite hopeful, but it got pretty complicated because there are a lot of different variables in the India-American relationship. But they're good friends, and we're hoping we can work it out soon.
I don't believe there's any hiatus in the relationship. It continues to be very, very important, very strategic for both countries, the United States and India. परिवार में भी कभी-कभी थोड़ी बहुत नोक-झोंक तो होती रहती है. And of course, negotiations is a process, and India as a nation has to secure its interests, has to secure the interests of our stakeholders, businesses.
The end of earnings season sparked a block deal rush on Dalal Street today. Promoters and strategic investors pair stake worth 8,800 crore rupees in 5 companies. Emphasis promoter Blackstone is likely to have sold 9.5% equity worth 4,600 crore rupees in the company through block deals. Meanwhile, 2% equity worth 1,700 crore rupees in Paytm's parent company 197 Communications changed hands in a large block deal. EdTech platform PhysicsWallah made a strong debut on Dalal Street with its shares listing at a 36% premium than its IPO price. The company's post-issue market capitalization was close to 44,000 crore rupees. Speaking to CNBC TV 18, PhysicsWallah's co-founder Prateek Maheshwari said the firm hopes to grow at a rate of 30% and turn profitable in under 12 months.
We are on a mission, and that mission is more important, that access is more important, there will be quarters and quarters in our life, but the year in the student's life doesn't come back. This is an irreversible year for my students. So so continue to make impact in the student's life, as well as we will be utmost responsible to create our shareholder value as well. So the path to PAT level profitability will achieved in less than 12 months from now. We will continue to grow more than 30% in upcoming years.
Grow's stellar run continues even 5 days after its listing. The stock has gained every day since listing, soaring a whopping 94% from its issue price of 100 rupees. The company now has a market capitalization of 1.2 lakh crore rupees. The next major trigger for the stock will be its earnings, which is expected this Friday. The big question that we're asking is, are they ready for the long innings? Hormaz Patakia analyzes.
Well, if you are a cricket fan, you'd remember the late Dean Jones's very famous remark every time someone hit a youth six. He used to say, going, going, gone. Now, however, this latest listing on Dalal Street has been growing some more, at least in terms of stock price. Now, it's been 5 days since Grow listed, and the stock has nearly doubled from its IPO price of $100. But how does this latest Dalal Street entrant stack up when it compared to some of its listed and unlisted peers? Now, on the revenue front, Grow's top line is lower than its peers like Angel One and Zerodha. Now, active clients for Grow are the highest for any platform, and therefore it stacks well above the other two names. But when it comes to the average revenue per user, or the ARPU, that is well below Angel One and even lower compared to Zerodha, whose ARPU is well above 10,000 rupees. But can Grow play catch up with its peers going forward? Now, the management expects its top line to grow between 25 to 30% and costs to grow between 15 to 20% over the next few years. Basis that, if we take a 5-year projection, Grow's revenues could go up to 14,500 crore rupees, its margins from 63% could grow up to 80%, and its net profit from the 1,800 crores currently could touch levels of 8,500 crore rupees. Now, this is an FY30 projection, assuming that Grow continues to grow at the pace that the management has guided for. Now, when we take a look at the PEG ratio, or the price to earnings growth for Grow, that comes up to 1.63. Now, that is based on a 37% profit CAGR, and it's based on an FY25 EPS of around 3 rupees. Now, while Grow may be lagging its peers currently on certain aspects, it has surpassed them all when it compares to its value. Now, at the highest point of the day, Grow was valued at well over 1.1 lakh crore rupees, which is nearly the sum total of Angel One, Motilal Oswal and Nuvama Wealth put together. The management spoke to us earlier, and they spoke about how they plan on growing the MTF book, and that the MTF business will become bigger than the personal loan business going forward. Now, with a healthy growth guidance, expansion to newer businesses, Grow's ARPUs may subsequently also see some uptick as clients in different verticals begin to increase. Now, whether that can help the company catch up with peers, only time will tell. But for now, the next major growth trigger for Grow comes on Friday, Friday when it reports its quarterly results, which will be its first after its listing. Now that's Grow for you. It has made quite some noise in the first few days of being a public company, and the shareholders would only hope that the stock continues to hit it out of the park going forward as well.
Absolutely, Hormaz. Many thanks for those details. On to a CNBC TV18 exclusive. Capital market representatives met Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman for pre-budget consultations. The industry has sought lower securities transaction tax on cash market trades. Market players also proposed that buyback tax be levied only on the profit component and not the total payout. India's state-run green lender, IREDA, is planning to raise up to 3,000 crore rupees through a qualified institutional placement. Sources tell CNBC TV18 that the issue could be priced at a discount of up to 5% to the current market price. This fresh fundraising move is part of IREDA's larger capital augmentation blueprint to meet the rising demand for clean energy. The Apex Court has agreed to hear a PIL seeking a court-monitored probe of an alleged banking fraud involving Reliance Communications. The court has sought reply from the union government, CBI, ED and Anil Ambani within 3 weeks. The plea filed by former Finance Secretary EAS Sarma claims that over 40,000 crore rupees have been siphoned off. The Supreme Court has set aside its own verdict, which ruled that projects violating requirement of prior environmental clearance could not be approved retrospectively. The order comes as a major relief for realtors, miners and the Steel Authority of India. Ashmit Kumar is here with all of those details. Ashmit, take us through the details of this order.
Well, big relief coming in for realtors, for miners, for steel companies. The Supreme Court clarifying its own judgment, reversing its own judgment, saying that now ex post facto environmental clearances are permissible in law. This became a huge bone of contention in May. As recently as May, the Supreme Court said in May that as far as retrospective environmental clearances are concerned, it is simply not permissible. The Supreme Court said it's not happy with projects getting constructed and then after construction seeking environmental clearance. Now that position is reversed. The Supreme Court now says that, look, if we agree with the May order, if the May judgment, what will happen is that as many as 20,000 crore rupees worth of public projects will have to be demolished. This will affect public interest. This will affect public money. And that's the rationale court has given for reversing its own position. Now, speaking of reversals, we've seen many of them in recent cases and marquee cases. Take Bhushan Power and Steel IBC process, for example. The Supreme Court first sent the company into liquidation. Then a review petition was filed. The Supreme Court reversed its stance, saying that fine, we'll allow the JSW Steel resolution plan. Take, for example, the AGR issue. For very many years, the Supreme Court stood firm, saying that we will not allow for any relief to be granted to telecom companies. Then Vodafone Idea filed a petition in 2025. Supreme Court reversed its position, saying that now the DOT has the flexibility to grant relief to Vodafone Idea. Take also the example of the emotive issue of stray dog population management. Earlier, the Supreme Court said all of them are to be rounded up. Then the Supreme Court said none of them are to be rounded up. Then the Supreme Court has clarified now once again that all of them are to be rounded up from public places. So again, back and forth flip-flops by the Apex Court. But nonetheless, in this case, the Supreme Court reversing its position and granting its nod for ex post facto environmental clearances.
Right, Ashmit. Thank you so much for those details. Now, PSU Bank stocks have been buzzing in trade for the third straight day amid talks of another round of consolidation. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has confirmed that work is begun on creating bigger, world-class banks in India. Her comments at the SBI conclave have reignited questions on which banks could be consolidated, whether the system is ready, and what lessons can be drawn from the last mega merger in 2020. Ritu Singh brings you voices from 4 veteran bankers who have lived through and led major bank amalgamations.
India may be headed towards its next major banking shakeup, and this time it's not just speculation. Speaking at the SBI conclave, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman told CNBC TV18 that the government had already begun work on building larger, globally competitive banks, signalling that consolidation and expansion are both firmly on the table.
India needs a lot of big banks, world-class banks. It's not by creating from among those which exist today just by amalgamation. That can also be one of the route.
The last mega consolidation happened in 2020 when 10 public sector banks were folded into 4 anchors. Oriental Bank of Commerce and United Bank of India merged into Punjab National Bank, Syndicate Bank merged with Canara Bank, Andhra Bank and Corporation Bank merged with Union Bank of India, and Allahabad Bank was merged into Indian Bank. Along with earlier mergers like Vijaya and Dena Bank into Bank of Baroda, India went from 27 public sector banks a decade ago to 12 today. Now, speculation has centered on the smallest of these 12. Indian Overseas Bank, UCO Bank, Central Bank of India, Punjab and Sindh Bank and Bank of Maharashtra as possible candidates that may be paired with larger lenders like SBI, PNB and Bank of Baroda.
Previous round of merger, 1920, we can say in some way it had been a success. There were short-term pains in the beginning, but in long-term, profit and efficiency gain has been achieved. Cultural integration continue to remain a key challenge. And if that is the case, the point is whether you are surviving reasonably well or you have been put in a position to exploit your potential to the full extent.
Bankers say the next consolidation must focus on synergy and not just size. The 2020 mergers were driven largely by technological alignment. But today, the need is to pair banks whose strengths complement each other and deliver real growth benefits.
Unless and until there is a synergy which will flow, post-merger, it may not really yield the desired results. The intention should be that if at all merger has to happen, then the subsequent growth should be significantly higher.
But synergy isn't just about numbers. It's also about business strategy, the geography a bank dominates, the segments it serves, and the strengths it brings to the table.
In my opinion, consolidation is just not an arithmetic sum up of the balance sheet. It was basically on the technology because that gives a convenience of integration. But I think now we have crossed that stage and we can swing to the other levers that can facilitate the value creation in terms of capital size, profitability, and the efficiency indicator.
Yet the hardest part of any merger isn't capital, technology, or geography, but its people. The integration of Indian Bank and Allahabad Bank in 2020 illustrated this clearly.
Culture was a big challenge. I think people make or mar an organization. Whichever merger, whichever consolidation, unless we take care of people, it's not going to succeed. I think in Indian Bank, we could focus on the right areas, and then it's where it is today. I think it's doing very well.
Veteran bankers caution that India must guard against three systemic risks: creating banks that are too big to fail, hollowing out regional credit delivery if all banks become national giants, and expecting global-scale banks to still handle priority sector and microcredit demands. They also warn that mergers must not undermine India's rich regional banking character, especially when technology is changing how customers choose financial services. While many agree that India does need larger banks, banking veterans like PJ Nayak, for instance, have argued that public sector banks should first be brought under the Companies Act so their independent boards can take a call on their merging partners rather than have a government-arranged combination. They point out that the market capitalization of India's largest private sector lender, HDFC Bank alone, for instance, is larger than the market cap of the top 6 public sector banks, which they point out is a reflection of what independent and profit-focused boards can achieve. In Bengaluru, Ritu Singh.
The United Nations Security Council has approved US President Donald Trump's plan for Gaza. The proposal includes a roadmap for a sovereign Palestinian state. It also includes the deployment of an international force which will be tasked with entering Gaza and overseeing the demilitarization. However, Hamas rejected the resolution, claiming it does not meet Palestinian demands. A Russian missile strike in eastern Ukraine has killed 3 people and wounded 10. A Russian attack on Ukraine's southern region of Odessa has sparked fires at energy and port infrastructure facilities. The attack damaged port equipment and several civilian vessels and forced Romania to evacuate a border village. Russia has claimed that its air defense forces destroyed 36 Ukrainian drones overnight. Japan has warned its citizens in China to take safety precautions as tensions between both countries have flared up. According to a statement issued by Japanese embassy in China, people are advised to remain vigilant when going out and avoid crowded public spaces. All of this comes after remarks by Japan's Prime Minister on Taiwan left Beijing fuming. China has suspended the release of Japanese anime films. Around 7 Chinese airlines have also offered free cancellations to travelers with flights booked to Japan. According to analysts, around 5 lakh flight tickets to Japan have been cancelled between November 15th to the 17th. Coming up on India Business Hour, police deployed at fuel stations across Mumbai as CNG remains in short supply. More details in just a bit. And you can also catch all CNBC TV 18's news and updates on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X and Jio Hotstar. Do subscribe to CNBC TV 18 Access for exclusive stories. Welcome back to India Business Hour. Onto a CNBC TV 18 exclusive. The Enforcement Directorate is searching a dozen premises linked to real money gaming companies Winzo and Gamescraft. Sources tell CNBC TV 18 that authorities have unearthed crypto wallets used by promoters indicated possible money laundering. The searches are based on FIRs which allege that manipulated algorithms put gamers at a disadvantage. The Enforcement Directorate conducted searches at Al Falah University in Faridabad and premises linked to it. The operation is a part of ED's probe into alleged financial irregularities and money laundering in the Delhi car blast case. The raids across 25 locations comes days after 3 doctors connected to the university were suspected of being part of a terror module. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has said India will exercise the right to defend its people against terrorism. Speaking at the SCO's Council of Heads of Government Summit in Russia, he called for zero tolerance for terrorism, which he said had become more serious.
We must never forget that the SCO was founded to combat the 3 evils of terrorism, separatism, and extremism. These threats have become even more serious in the years that have passed. It is imperative that the world display zero tolerance towards terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. There can be no justification, no looking away, and no whitewashing. As India has demonstrated, we have the right to defend our people against terrorism and will exercise it.
Top Maoist commander Madhvi Hidma was killed in an encounter with the police in Andhra Pradesh. 5 others, including Hidma's wife, were also killed during the operation. Hidma, who had a bounty of 50 lakh rupees, was involved in 26 major attacks. The encounter was launched after security personnel received intelligence inputs about the movement of Maoists near the Andhra Pradesh border. The government has launched National Action Plan to contain antibiotic resistance. Health Minister JP Nadda said the antimicrobial resistance is a major public health concern as misuse of antibiotics has become common practice. He added that the issue can be only addressed through collective action. The plan focuses on improving awareness and enhancing laboratory capacity and infection control in healthcare facilities. Mumbai's public transport services are still in limbo as CNG remains in short supply for the 3rd straight day after damage to a major gas pipeline. The management of Mahanagar Gas, which has an exclusive license for Mumbai, had told CNBC TV 18 that supply would be restored by noon. CNG pumps saw long queues for refueling. Commuters had a harrowing time as several cabs and auto rickshaws were off the roads. Santya Gora filed this report on the CNG outage and how it has crippled the maximum city.
Right now we are in Mumbai's Goregaon area. Yesterday when we were here, there was only one line of auto rickshaw drivers, and now there is another line parallel to the first one. This line is of private CNG vehicle owners and app-based CNG vehicles. दादा आप कब से खड़े हैं लाइन में?
2 बजे से.
रात के 2 बजे से.
रात को 2 बजे से.
अभी तक नंबर कुछ मालूम पड़ रहा है कितने देर में आएगा, कितना लंबा लाइन है आगे?
लंबा कुछ नहीं मालूम पड़ रहा है.
We are in Mumbai's Santa Cruz area right now. This is a queue for the auto rickshaws here outside Santa Cruz railway station. Let me try and speak to some of the people. Sir, आप लाइन में कब से खड़े हैं यहाँ पे?
I am here from last 10 minutes. So facing lot of issues. Because since yesterday, normally it takes 10-15 minutes to get an auto, but since yesterday we are taking almost 40 minutes standing in the queue.
The gentleman here is not alone, whether it's Bandra, Santa Cruz, Borivali, Goregaon, all these key areas from where commuters take auto rickshaws and Kalipili taxis to their respective workplaces or their respective destinations. All of these places have similar lines and people are having a tough time.
Former U.S. Treasury Secretary Larry Summers has stepped back from public commitments after his emails with late convicted pedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein were made public. The former Harvard president said, and I quote, "I am deeply ashamed of my actions and recognize the pain they have caused," end of quote. The email showed Summers communicating with Epstein until the day before Epstein's arrest. Boeing has secured a $38 billion order from Emirates for 65 additional 777-9 aircraft on the opening day of the Dubai Air Show. Emirates is already Boeing's largest wide-body customer, and this deal takes its total order book with the plane maker to 315 wide-body jets. An outage at online infra provider Cloudflare has disrupted parts of the internet. Multiple online services, including ChatGPT and other AI chatbots, along with social media platforms like X, go offline for several users. Cloudflare says it is investigating an issue which impacts multiple customers. And with that, it is a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Many thanks for watching. News continues right here on CNBC TV 18.